We're going to look at using studio lighting. That is studio lighting that has a modeling light and a flash tube built in. It's the most common form of lighting in studios because it has a lot of power output and it has the continuous light to allow you to see what you're doing at the same time. Now, with using continuous lighting, here it's in its bare bulb form. It doesn't have any modifiers or any accessories attached to it, and that's exactly how we really want to use it with the light cone. Now, what I'm going to do first before we introduce the light cone is just take a picture of this very gold glossy metal light switch here, a dimmer switch, which is extremely difficult to photograph because of its reflective properties. But with the light cone, we'll see how easy it is to photograph. And I'm going to show you just a standard setup of positioning your studio lights so that you can understand where might be an easy way to work with them. We can obviously position them in various different heights and distances away for effect, but we'll be covering that and gradations in another video. So let's take a shot just as is. And again, as expected, terrible result because we've got dark black reflections of the studio area around and bits of lighting that don't look very nice. So I'm going to introduce the large size light cone into position over the product. And immediately I can see through my viewfinder on my live display that I've got a much nicer looking lighting than I had before. So I'm now going to take the shot again, and now we have a beautiful correctly exposed image. Now interestingly, with the image, this is now where we want to control the light. So you can see at the moment my lighting is coming predominantly from the top right hand corner of the light switch, and that's because this light is in considerably closer, creating a brighter highlight on that area of the product. So what I'm going to do is I want the lighting to be predominantly from the left hand side. So in that case, I'm just going to pull this light back a little bit to soften that one out. And this time I'm going to bring this light in a lot closer to illuminate this corner instead. Take the shot again, and now I've got my gradation of light running from the upper left side of the product, which I much prefer. Now, if I wanted a little bit more underlighting onto the product, I can simply take one of the studio lights, move it around to the opposite side, and we'll take a shot from this one, and we'll see we introduce some edge lighting on the lower side, and again, just bringing it into different positions, different heights, and especially if you've got live view on a mirrorless camera or live view tethered, you can see your lighting change live as you do it. So that's one of the beauties with using these type of cameras, is that you can actually see what's happening. Now, in saying that, you don't actually need 3 lights. You can still utilize the light cone even with 1 light. So I'm going to turn 2 lights off and just work with 1 light for the next demonstration. So this next shot, 1 light only, and we've got a beautiful result here now with that gradation running across the product from left to right. And that was just with a single light only. And that shows how effective the light cone is, even with 1 light, because the beauty of it is that we get our main gradation of light through our frosted material, but the internal elements of the light cone also act as reflector, bouncing some of that light back, or we can choose to add additional lights to create further smooth gradations of light to give us that really polished product photography look. Now, one thing to consider when using studio lighting with the light cone is that studio lighting modeling lamps, that's the continuous light that's on your studio light, not the flash, the continuous light can get very hot. Now, whilst our light cone is built of heat resistant material, that doesn't mean that you should be leaving a modeling lamp very hot next to the product for long periods of time, and certainly not touching the product, or if you do, just very briefly. Now, the light cone is resistant to that, as I said, but because modeling lamps can be so very hot, we wouldn't advise having them really close for a long time. Now, if for whatever reasons you want to create a harder point of light in your product via a smaller gradation, and you need to move the light really close, then turn your modeling light off. Your flash will still be able to fire. Let your modeling light cool down, and then when it's cool, you can put that light back in close. And if you need to just look through camera at what's happening, you can turn it on temporarily, turn it off again, and then you won't cause any damage to your light cone product.